So today we will take a look at the various responsibilities of what a superintendent does. Now, what you need to understand is these people are responsible for the day-to-day running of the apartment. Now, they have to make sure that these things are functioning. We got the lighting, the electrical. Now, when we're talking about the lighting, we're talking about the lighting in the common areas, the electrical, the plumbing, the AC, the ventilation, and the heating are in order. So any small repairs that can be done, say maybe a tap, maybe say a ventil grade that you can buy at Canadian Tire gets replaced if something gets busted, right? Now, if bigger jobs are needed, if the job can't be fixed by themselves, right? Or they don't have the experience, then they're responsible for getting contractors to fix the problem for you. Okay? Remember, these guys are acting kinda in the landlord's stead if they're not there. Now, you should also be aware that if you are a superintendent, one of the things that you have to do is if there are maintenance issues, sometimes you got to budget for repairs and maintenance work and ensure that it is done within approved limits. Now, we have some other things that these superintendents need to be able to keep track of, so we'll talk about that in the next slide. So if we go into a building superintendent's jobs or duties, some of these duties include looking for safety hazards such as fire hazards or water leaks and electrical problems and other issues, and making sure that those things get fixed by the landlord or the business that runs the apartment. Now, the other thing that happens is you're going to supervise the maintenance staff to ensure that any repairs are carried out correctly. So if you send out for a contractor to go and do something, then you have to be there to inspect the maintenance. Okay. You also have to report any problems to the appropriate staff member or the owner for immediate action if it's a smaller apartment, right? You also have to coordinate the maintenance staff and other departments in, say, a very large building to ensure that all work has to be done in a timely manner. So let's say that you have a front lawn. You got to make sure that there's somebody out there that goes and cuts the lawn every week, or you cut the lawn every week, right? Now, you also have to ensure that building regulations are met, including the fire codes and safety regulations and occupancy limits, right? So these are some of the basic things that you have to be able to do if you are a building superintendent, right? Now, just like before, I also told you that you had to manage for budget repairs. The other thing that you got to make sure is that if you're renting to somebody for your landlord, you got to make sure that fire codes are met and the occupancy limits, i.e. the number of people in the rental apartment, is met. Now, if you rent it for, say, 2 or 3 people and the maximum that can be in the apartment is 4, they cannot exceed that. Okay? So if you have somebody staying there with like 4 people for like 6 weeks, then you're going to have to do something about that. Now, the other thing they got to do, like we said before, is that they have to schedule repairs and maintenance works, right? And that's it, right? And then the other thing that you have to do is, if you are the superintendent, you got to go and take a look at the apartment and go and do the apartments or the outside of the apartment or the inside of the apartment and look for signs of wear or tear and damage and make repairs for your apartment as needed. Now, the work that you'll be doing today is a career focus on what it is to be a superintendent, okay? A building manager, essentially, all right? Your job is to complete the worksheet and hand the work back. There are certain things that you end up having to handle as the building superintendent that the landlord would typically handle. Sometimes you have to handle it, say like rental increases or things like that. Okay, but that would have to be in an agreement with your boss, the landlord. All right, good luck. You can start working on the sheets. They're posted online.